Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Mary is speaking from the Competent Communication Manual. Project number 3, get to the point. Her objectives are to select a speech topic and determine its general and specific purposes. Organize the speech in a manner that best achieves those purposes. Ensure the beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce the purposes. And project sincerity and conviction and control any nervousness. And lastly, she's supposed to strive not to use notes. And Mr. Timer, the time is 5 to 7 minutes. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Martha. The title of Mary's speech is Saving Birdie. Mary Kapner, Saving Birdie.
I need to take care of the technical situation. Josh, what was I supposed to do after this?
It's on.
Oh, there it is. That's the little star of the speech. I'd like to pass on to you information that I learned recently when my husband and I saved a little bird. My husband, Steve, is a truck driver, and he was on his last job of the day. He had to pick up a piece of construction equipment in Lemon Valley in Reno and take it out to McCarran, which is outside of Sparks on I-80, where he delivered it, and then he came home via I-80 again and up Mount Rose Highway to our house. It was very windy that day. When he exited his vehicle and was checking out the whole rig to be sure everything was okay, like he does every night, he saw something moving on the deck of the flooring of the trailer, and it was this little 1-inch hatchling whose little eyes hadn't even opened yet. The only reason it survived this enormous ride was because its teeny little leg was caught in a wood splinter on that decking floor of the trailer. So, now it was my responsibility. He hands it over to me, and my first impression of it was a human embryo. It was so little, pink, and featherless. So what do I do now? Luckily, I happen to have a friend in agility who is an avian ecologist. She was out in the field in eastern Nevada, but luckily her cell phone worked long enough so she could give me the information that I needed so I could save this little baby's life that evening. Most importantly, she told me that this little bird had to be kept warm. Birds' internal temperatures are much higher than ours. So I got out my heating pad and I put it on a low setting. I covered, to regulate the temperature, I put a few washcloths over the heating pad. I had a little bread basket that I took, and I put another little washcloth in that and placed the baby bird in there. I was cautioned not to give the bird water. Mommy birds do not give their baby birds water because it can go down the wrong way and they can drown. They get enough liquid from the nourishment of the little insects that the mother birds bring them. Now, birds that have first been hatched cannot be fed. And to determine if you can feed a little baby bird, you look at its little stomach. And this is a fairly good picture here. If you can see this little rounded area there, it's protruded. This little baby will be able to be fed because its intestines have matured enough. Also, another sign of being able to make this determination is if it poops, and it had a little poop. So I was able to feed the little baby hatchling, and I gave it the leanest bit of, the smallest bit of lean steak. And it was so small, I couldn't even use tweezers. I had to use like a toothpick and pop it in the little beak. Also, which I have just forgotten to tell you, that I had to dip it in a little bit of water, so it's actually getting a little liquid that it would need without drowning it. A hatchling must be fed every 15 to 20 minutes, sunrise to sunset, which I had no idea the work that these little birds, the mother birds, do. I fed it for about an hour, but then I determined it was time, it was late, so I put the baby to bed. I was very hesitant the next morning when I went up to approach the basket for fear that I would find the baby dead. But as soon as I touched that basket, all of a sudden, this little bird starts chirping away, demanding its breakfast. It was indeed full of moxie. To my surprise that morning, it was very difficult for me to find an animal rescue that took a little bird that size. They're not equipped for it. I finally was led to a woman in Dayton, and I took the bird there. She was fully licensed. Should you need information for if you're ever in this situation with any kind of little animal or bird, I would recommend the Wild Animal Infirmary in Nevada. And I have their contact information with me to pass out to all of you. In conclusion, I would like to repeat that the most important thing you could ever do for a little bird in this situation is to keep it warm. You do not have to feed it. Just keep it warm and get it to an authorized licensed facility as soon as possible. Thank you.